Hello ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the syllabus and a little bit about the course policies for GGS300 quantitative methods. So this essentially is a video which is a companion to the PDF which has already been uploaded to Blackboard, which basically just provides you with the course outline and essentially a written version of much of the content which I'm going to cover here. So I think a key part of this course is the fact that it is being delivered in an asynchronous remote learning way. I know that this isn't ideal, but I am planning to carry out any additional Zoom Q&A sessions that you may need, and I am available to help you with your learning as you go through this particular class. So hopefully that will overcome some of the barriers that we might have with this particular learning modality. There are prerequisites to this, so there is an assumption that you've taken GGS 102, 103 before you've got to this stage. And I did mention before in the introduction video that I will be teaching from a textbook. So the primary textbook will be this one listed here, which is McGrew et al. 2014, and it's the 3rd edition. And you will see later in this presentation how each week you're essentially going to get a chapter to read from this book as it relates to the materials that I cover in the lecture. And therefore that would provide you with a bit of additional context around what we're doing through these particular sessions. I do also advise that you consider looking at Simon Dadson's book, particularly for those who might be coming from the physical geography, the physical sciences side. So Simon is a water researcher. He does a lot of work on hydrology, so it's a good text to use if you're going to be focusing on that side of the geographical sciences. So what exactly are the course objectives? Well, there are 3. And the first one is that I would like you to understand how to conduct a rigorous statistical analysis of data, and not just actually understand how to conduct this research in a scientific way, but also how to use industry standard statistical software, which I'm going to cover later in this presentation, so RStudio. This is because once you leave GMU, you may need to carry out quantitative analysis, and this is a fairly standard tool for doing that within industry and government. You may stay within college, you may go on for further study, and therefore you'll need to understand how to use software such as this to do proper science, essentially. So that's a really important part of the objective of this course. I would also like you to understand how to actually interpret the statistical techniques and tests that we're going to be carrying out as they relate both within the spatial sciences, but also to the broader scientific literature. So you'll remember in the previous introduction video, I talked about that key skill set that you need to succeed in the 21st century, and one of those is scientific literacy. So this is a key part of helping you develop that skill set and to understand how the materials covered here relate to broader science, technology, engineering, and mathematical thinking, which underpins pretty much all of the technology that we engage with on a daily basis. And then finally, I want us to be able to think critically about the use and also the misuse of statistics by the end of the course. I think I was probably a little bit apprehensive about trying to achieve this when I first started learning statistics. In fact, I was quite apprehensive about the term critical thinking. I didn't really know what it meant aside from the definition, and I think that's because it's quite hard to understand how to critique numerical information and statistics. And I appreciate that. So within the course, I am going to develop a framework that allows you to think about some of these questions for when quantitative information is used or presented, particularly with regards to, for example, papers that you might read in the scientific literature. I think that type of framework will provide you with a good foundation to actually progress onto other things when you move on beyond this class or you leave college and go on to a job in industry and government. I do want your feedback, so I will be asking you about what you want to get out of this class. So I have now made live a survey on the Blackboard site, which I require you to fill out, please, by close of play on Tuesday, which I think is the 25th of August. And the point of this is so that I'm able to collect baseline information from you about your existing level of knowledge in this field, what type of math you've done before, and also how confident you're feeling about this topic, and also maybe what you want to do after you finish this class, after you leave college, and what exactly your aspirations are. I appreciate that if I make this interesting and pertinent to your interests, then you will get a lot more out of the material that I'm presenting. And when you're enjoying yourselves and you find the material stimulating and relevant to what you're doing, and you learn more, and that's an ideal outcome for all of us. So there will be a set of lab assignments, and you will be expected to complete them. They will be part of your grade. So do take advantage of using the GGS virtual computing laboratory in order to complete these. So we will be using the R statistical language. R is the language, but actually the graphical user interface that we'll be using is through RStudio, and that makes it a lot easier for you to write code and look at analysis and engage with it than using the command line. If you're not familiar with R, which is perfectly acceptable, then I've just provided the wiki here. I think that's a good place to start understanding what it does and what the use of it is. The wiki is great. Like all wikis, it's there to provide a broad overview of an area. You know, quoting from Wikipedia is not always a great thing to do, but I do like to read the wiki when I'm starting on a new area, and that's to understand a general overview. And then there's usually always sources that allow you to go and do further reading, and that's really where you get the key detail. But I just want you to start understanding what we're going to be doing and what tools we're going to be using within this class. So you can either access RStudio via the virtual lab available through GGS, or you can also just download the software and install it on your own machine, whatever works for you. It is relatively easy to install, and as ever, if you get stuck with a computer problem or just installing a program like this, then just Google how to install that program, look at the YouTube videos, look at Stack Exchange, engage with those resources, which will help you essentially achieve your aim in terms of technical problems which you face. I don't want you to be apprehensive about this. I understand that being told that you're going to learn this R statistical language can be quite scary. I want to emphasize that we've got many weeks for this, and that I'll be providing a very gentle introduction to this topic for you. So the lab assignments will be based predominantly on the materials which I cover in the lectures, and I'll administer those via Blackboard. I'm aiming to post the materials each week on a Thursday. I'm kind of setting this day, which is analogous to when I would standardly be lecturing. So Thursday is the day when the materials will definitely be online, available for you to access, and the labs, importantly, will be set on each Thursday, and they will be due prior to the next lecture each week before Thursday, except where noted in the course schedule. So, as you know, I'm new. This is the first course that I've taught at GMU. So I've followed the policies that other professors are using. So other professors are essentially saying that a late lab assignment will be penalised 20% for each day late, starting from the time at which I expect you to submit it. This is a lot more generous than the previous institution that I was at, so please do not abuse this, otherwise I will just have to move to the standard protocol where if your lab assignment is late, it won't be accepted. You know, we don't really want to go there if we can avoid it. So please just make sure you get your assignments in on time, and then we don't even have to approach this issue. Grading. So the 10 lab assignments that will be set will constitute about half of the points that can be achieved for this class. The midterm exam will be about 25% of the final grade, and the final exam will be another 25% of the final grade. So that's the overall structure for how you're going to be graded in GGS300. The midterm exam will essentially cover all of the material that we covered in the first half of the course. And then the final exam will cover all of the material, be semi-comprehensive essentially, that has been covered within all of the lectures throughout the module. And that's really because a lot of the content that we get to in the second half of the course is cumulative. It very much builds on a lot of the principles, the theory and the practice that we developed in the first half of the course. So it's important for me to emphasize this. I will be administering quizzes, ungraded quizzes, and this is essentially just a way for me to understand if you actually understood the principles that were reported and presented in the individual classes. This is important. Getting that information from you to see whether you actually digested that information allows me a feedback mechanism. And if I can see that certain parts of the course aren't being digested very well by you, then I have the opportunity to provide extra time there and to focus on course content that can fill those gaps. And then hopefully by the end of the class at the end of the semester, we'll have met all of the teaching objectives that we set at the beginning. So what does the course look like? Well, over the 15 weeks, I've given a rough structure here for what I'm going to be covering each of the lectures. And you'll see on the right-hand side that essentially each one of those lectures is going to correspond to approximately one chapter in the McGrew text, the textbook which I mentioned earlier on. So it is important for you to be able to read that in tandem with the lecture materials. Currently, I'm not going to set any office hours, but I'll keep this under review. I will endeavour to engage with you as swiftly as possible. So if you email me Monday to Thursday, then I will provide you with an efficient response. If you email me Friday to Sunday, then I can't guarantee an efficient response. But I will try to get to those emails as quickly as possible so that you feel that your queries are being answered in a swift amount of time. I think that the way you phrase questions and requests for help is actually really important because, you know, in this day and age when we're mobile, I'm going to be looking at a lot of your messages on my smartphone in between going to different places, meetings, whatever. So if you can make sure that your emails are phrased in a way that provides me with the ability to respond with a yes or no answer, for example, then that would pretty much guarantee you a fairly quick response to the email that you send. If you decide to write 5 or 6 paragraphs, which I'm going to have to sit down on my desktop and digest before I give you a solid answer, then that's going to take me quite a bit of time. I'm going to have to wait till I'm back at my desktop. So really, the way that you phrase those questions is probably going to affect how quickly you get a response from me. I will endeavour to respond to you as quickly as possible, but make it easy for me to respond to you. So GMU does have an honour code in terms of academic integrity, and I'm just going to cover this quickly. Obviously, all work that is submitted must be your own. So that's really key. And you know, if you don't meet that, then it will be obvious. So just make sure that you are submitting your own work for each of the lab assignments. Make sure you cite other people. Make sure you cite sources. It's a good thing to be citing other people. It shows that you're aware that people have different ideas. You're aware that people have carried out different analyses. It links your work back into the literature. if you progress on and you start writing academic papers, then the more citations that you have, the better, in my opinion. And just to give you an example, there was a study in Nature or Science, I can't remember which one it was now, but a leading scientific journal which looked at the factors which related to papers being cited. And the number one factor which related to papers being cited was the number of citations within the original academic paper. So if you cite more people, they're more likely to cite you, and that's fundamentally a good thing. So you really should look at this as a positive thing, particularly when you move on to do your dissertation or further research at GMU. The amount of marks that are usually allocated to the literature review is quite large, as much as doing the actual research, because you really need to anchor the work that you're doing into the existing level of knowledge that we have. So citing is a key part of that, and I want to really make sure that you get this right. And then finally, just to say that if you're uncertain about any of the rules or the context for any of the assignments, then please do reach out, and I will endeavour as quickly as possible to clarify those uncertainties which you have. Okay, so this might be being taught in an asynchronous way, but I really do hope that there is discussion and debate between yourselves, and as a consequence, this really needs to be carried out with in a civilized and a respectful way, recognizing that obviously people have different experiences, ideas, and traditions, and this is really a key part to how we engage with the core material at GMU and on campus. So I just really want to emphasize this. Okay, if you're going to reach me, then please make sure that you're emailing from your Mason Live email account. And this is really important, partly for data protection, but also then I genuinely know that you are reaching me and that it's for cybersecurity purposes actually going through the university's IT systems, which is important. So please make sure that you do that. Diversity. I've already mentioned this in the introduction, but I put a very strong statement about diversity in the course outline, and that's that this whole course, the content within it has been designed so that everybody hopefully can engage with that, regardless of your race, your socioeconomic background, your sexual orientation, whether you have a disability or not. And really, this is incredibly important to all of us. So please, if you see an issue with some of the content that you would like to raise, then please let me know as soon as possible. And I think your feedback on that whole process would be highly valued. So thank you. Disabilities. If you're a student who has a disability, then please raise that directly with me, and also contact directly the Office of Disability Services. So I've put their information just there. So this is a Student as Scholars course. So if you're not familiar, this is GMU's award-winning initiative to allow students, to enable students to conduct research at the undergraduate level. And if you are interested in engaging with the research that I do or other faculty members do within this realm of this particular class, then please do check out the address that's listed here at oscar.gmu.edu. So just to highlight that there are a number of GMU resources which would be useful to you. So if you want writing help or advice, please check out the Writing Centre. And also if you need to ask for any types of course materials or textbooks or whatever, then please contact the university libraries. I've listed the email link just here. If you are in need of counselling and psychological services, and this is really important, please do make sure that you reach out to that service that's provided by the university, that's taken really seriously. And then these last two links here are just to the university catalogue and the overall policies for Mason. So what's the ideal outcome of this particular class. I've sat through my fair share of statistics classes over the years, and I think that I've picked up a reasonable understanding to know how to teach statistics well and how not to teach statistics. I'm going to endeavour to make sure that the course content is exciting for you to learn, and that I'm responsive and able to help with any issues which you may have regarding the content. So ideally what I would like by the end of this is that essentially you would say that the module was a rewarding class. You know, that's my key aim here, that really helps you develop an important skill set that will stay with you for the rest of your life. And I think in order to achieve that, you need to know that I actually do care about your success, and that I will endeavour to essentially respond to your questions and queries as quickly as possible, and that you're actually able to engage productively with the course material. So hopefully by the end of the class, this is the ideal place where we all get to. Okay, so that's about it from me for now. I've uploaded the survey, which is on Blackboard now, and the point of that is so that I can understand what your baseline level of knowledge is. Don't be afraid of that survey. This isn't graded in any way, and I just want to use it as a way to understand how best to build the course, to understand what you want to get out of this. I think for now, this is enough information. If you have any further queries, my email is very close to being set up. So hopefully that's going to be set up in the next couple of days, and then everything can start to kick off. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye.